When I went there, it turned out to be like this. Today I wanted to talk about finding an apartment in India. Hi, I'm Nupur and I help NRIs make decisions. I remember when I was searching for an apartment in San Francisco, I was on top of Craigslist all the time. My listing had come out at 1 p.m. and by 4 p.m. I was at the apartment and I had already signed the lease. And that's sort of what happens in India too, especially for the good properties. I have some advice for NRIs if they're looking to move to India. The first thing an NRI would do is look at Google Maps. And that's what I did. I looked at what apartments were around or close to my work location. I also tried to check from the satellite images to see if I could walk to office. Now that turns out is not a very good judge, especially in India, of what distances and time to office looks like. And I'll tell you why. I always thought I could use this sidewalk to walk to office, but this is what some sidewalks look. And I'm talking specifically about Bangalore. Other cities may be different, but you could use this for other cities as well. Now, this just means that walking in heels is out of question for me, which means I'll have to take an Uber every day to work. The second thing is Google Maps is again not a good representative of what's around the house. So for example, if you like an apartment complex and you're looking at Google Maps to see where the closest gym is. When I was looking for gyms, I found one close to my new apartment, and this is how it looked when I went and visited it. It was an apartment that's converted into a gym, and it sort of didn't feel good. It was so close to another apartment, it didn't feel like I wanted to go there. You know what's funny is that I actually ended up going to a gym that is not listed on Google Maps. It's newly opened. It's like 20 meters from my new home. It's not fancy, but it works for me. Google Maps would have never showed me this option. There's also an expectation versus reality problem in India. So for example, there are some co-living places that the youngsters might go in for. It's targeted towards people in their 20s. I wouldn't recommend it if you were a little older than 30 because of this. Watch. When I saw the website, it looked like this. When I actually went there, it turned out to be like this. Pictures are not a good judge of what's going on there. The best idea is to either physically visit. If you cannot do that, then ask a friend to come and video call you. There are many ways to find an apartment. One is to go through agents. They charge a fee. It's supposed to be 1 month of rent. Using a broker works for people. I would say try it out. It worked for my colleague who has like 4 or 5 people in his family, and he wanted a 4 or 5 bedroom apartment. I didn't want a 4 or 5 bedroom apartment. That I had to call a lot of agents to figure out which one would be able to help me, and this is what my phone looked like when I was calling them, full of numbers that are not saved, and I can't remember who had called for what, which means you have to create a spreadsheet. The second is to go to an apartment complex where you really want an apartment, find someone who lives there, which is probably a co-worker, and ask them to post on their internal group. That way you get first dibs at whatever apartment is going free. The third option is there are these online websites called like Magic Bricks and 99 Acres and No Broker. Personally, they didn't work for me. I had a friend who told me that No Broker really worked for her. She hired some kind of agent for about 3,000 rupees and they sent her options out of which she picked something. When I had signed up for it, they sent me options that I absolutely hated. I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings, but I can understand living here if this was your home, but this is not the type of apartment I want to live in. I thought I was the only one like this, but there are some designers in my office that I was talking to, and they also felt the same way, that the houses are colored in such an ugly way and the bathroom is kind of old school, so it just felt like this is not for me. And that narrowed down my options. If you're an NRI, you've probably lived in very standardized apartments abroad, and you really have to dig deeper to find an equivalent in India. The way to go about is some of the more famous builders have properties with newer appliances and newer sort of gadgets and a newer bathroom. So for example, in Bangalore, Prestige group of builders is supposed to be good. So what you could do is a targeted search, which is just go and see all the Prestige properties. My colleague mentioned that he was looking for a good 4-bedroom apartment and he wasn't in town when that opening came in place. He had a friend who went over, did a video call with him, and they signed it right on the spot. It turns out that if they had waited even a couple of hours, that property would have gone out of hand. So if you're looking to move to India and you're worried about finding a place, I would suggest come here and take a couple of weeks to find something. The other option is Airbnb. Don't hesitate to spend that money to block an Airbnb for 2 months and then take your time to find an apartment. India is cheaper in the sense that you could even live in an Airbnb. It may not come out that expensive if you're converting to US dollars. So consider that. That's it from my side. See you soon.